Hello and welcome to Couple of Instigators. Today I have Jen.
Hey.
And Lauren.
Hi.
All right, we got to do the Bachelor talk with Lauren because we started it and I was like, no. We have got to listen to your story on a whole other podcast. Then in between that, Lauren, shit has hit the fan on the Bachelor show. I was like, oh God, how are we going to talk The Bachelor and not have to do some deeper conversation? Because it can't just be all ha, ha, ha now, right?
Right.
Yeah. But we're going to start out with ha, 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 and then we'll get into something a little deeper about the show. Let's talk about how you and your journey with The Bachelor.
Yeah. I had a little brief journey myself.
Yep.
Probably like 5 years ago, I got a call one day while I was at work and I ignored it because it was from like Los Angeles. And so I get a voicemail. So I'm like checking it after and it's like, hey, this is so-and-so from casting at The Bachelor. We were just wondering if you're still single, call us back. And I'm like, this has got to be, like, I'm getting punked. Like, this is a prank.
How long before did you apply for it?
I didn't apply.
Oh.
No, I just
okay.
So I'm like, this is weird. And I told my coworkers because they were sitting there. And I was like, I might as well call back, right? Like, I'll talk to them and see if this is legit. And so I call back, the girl answers, she's like, hey, like you were nominated for the show. Are you still single? How old are you? And I was like, I'm 33. And I knew they're like, oh, we need an old maid for this season. Why? Like, that's the oldest age of anyone ever on the show at that time. And she like invited me to the studio and not the studio, their offices in LA. She's like, hey, if you're ever here for work or like visiting, she's like, go ahead and come in and you can meet us. We'd love to meet you in person. But in the meantime, like, I'm going to send you some information. Like, here's some stuff we want. They like wanted 10 photos, like full body, preferably.
Did they say bikini shot? Like straight up.
I was like, you just want to see what I look like, without clothes. So
of course, they're like, could we zoom in on your ass, cellulite, just get as tight as you can into there.
Yeah. So I did it was pages of application. They ask you all kinds of, crazy questions. They ask you what your job is, but I know that they don't use that information.
Really?
They just make up a job.
Do you? Oh my God.
So they make up a job title while editing the season.
Come on.
That's how you get, it was the barefoot girl a couple years ago. She was the barefoot hippie or something.
Oh, because they gave them, but some of them have real, jobs under their name, but some of them are ridiculous. You're right. I forgot.
Or they'll give a lot of people who don't necessarily have a job, like personal trainer, like a lot of guys, they'll do that for that cast.
Well, right. Now, you know what? You also had me thinking about, now I'm thinking, I'm always like, obviously these people's job is they're trying to get famous through Instagram or whatever. And I don't know if a lot of them even have a real job that you can state, just like you said. You know what I mean? What are you going to say? Waitress? I've never seen one of them say I'm a waitress or bartender, right?
True, yeah.
And I bet you a lot of them are. They don't all have careers. A lot of them are just trying to become Instagram famous now.
Right.
Obviously not 20 years ago.
Influencer.
Right.
I don't want to go.
Yeah. Instead, they'll say model or.
Right. And the show, obviously, it's all so manipulated. And I accept that. And I watch The Bachelor for what it is, a train wreck. I've been watching it since day one. So, okay. So did you do all that?
Yeah, I got it together. I had one of my friends edit. We had to do a video. So
right.
It was me answering questions. I had my friend do it as if it was an ITM interview. And so she held the camera and recorded me answering questions about life and my ideal man and whatnot and family life. And then we got shots of me, like my hobby, I guess, would be like ice skating. So like they got footage of me, you know, my friend.
So fun.
So she pieced it all together and I sent it in. And since I wasn't going to go to LA just for this because it was going to be on me. So they just kept in like, so you're like kind of assigned a casting producer. So they like check in with you and talk to you here and there. And they were coming, like they were doing castings nearby. It wasn't here. But they were like, yeah, come out to the one we're doing in Cleveland. And so I was like, okay. Then I went in. They put a mic on me. They did a casting producer asked me questions and like a dark room with. So it was like looked like the setup.
That's so cool.
And they asked me questions, and I was like, I'm way too normal for this. There's no way.
Right. Because what were they asking you things like to try to feel out if you were like an instigator or
they asked
or
like
a mean girl, you know? Because I'm
like,
sure.
what was your last relationship like, or who broke your heart the most? And then I just remember the last question they asked me because it was they were casting for it was the year they thought it was going to be either Chase or Luke from JoJo season was going to be the Bachelor. And so I knew that because they were talking about it. And they asked me, they said, who would you pick of all the guys? Like, who would you pick to be the Bachelor? Who would you hope the Bachelor is? And I said, Wells Adams. I was like, I know this is going to be a long shot because he was like not in the top 5. And I said Wells Adams. I meant it. And it ended up being Nick Viall, which kind of made sense because he was like 36. So I was like, oh, that's probably why
that age range.
Was like, he that old then?
Yeah, he's 40 now, I think.
Yeah, he's got to be. I'm sorry, I can't stand him. Worst contestant, worst Bachelor, but drama, yes.
I used to listen to his podcast, so I don't know. He's just got, his ego is so huge.
Really?
He's so defensive about everything.
So I follow him on Instagram, and I do believe like the last few pictures that I've seen of him, he's just way too skinny. Like he looks sick. Did you notice that lately in some of his?
No, I don't.
Of course they're shirtless of him in the bathroom in front of the mirror.
They always are.
Right. But no, I mean, I could cruise his page now and just show
That's
you
what got him on the show. So between
he's just so skinny though. I mean, he just looks sick.
Andy season, he said like when they were talking to him about being the back, like he worked out for like 6 weeks straight to try to get in shape because he was not that fit on that season.
Oh, you mean, was he really skinny?
No, but he didn't have the abs that he has now.
Maybe he was always just a skinny guy and then worked out to get some muscle. And yeah. I'm thinking, okay, all right, because they always have on all the, yeah. All right.
His face was kind of like fluffy though.
No, not anymore. Now, yeah, he looks like he has 0% body fat. He's really thin. But I was almost like he kind of looks sick. He's just too skinny for me. But I mean, I think Tim McGraw just lost too much weight too, personally. He's so skinny.
I wouldn't recognize him.
Oh, you don't know country.
No. I know who he is. He was in the Michael Oher movie. Yes. And then he went on this whole big fitness thing and he wanted to get healthy for his kids. And now I just think he's just like really, really, really thin. But I'm sure he's probably in excellent shape. So it would have been Nick season. And you know what? I didn't even realize he was 36 at the time. Now I bet you have to send videos in, right? Or do you still nominate? I think you can just from listening to the podcast from other people and how they got cast. So even when I did it, there was a mix of nominations. You can just go to the website and apply. But like my application had the casting person's name on it. So it was like direct to her name.
Do you know who nominated you?
One of my friends said that she did, but it was like a year before. So that was weird because, so I guess it could have been someone else, but one of my friends, I was like, who would have nominated me? And I asked my coworkers and I asked my friends.
There's a couple people.
One of them said, she's
was it your mom?
I actually asked my mom, I was like, are you guys going to be cool when we do hometowns? Like, I'm coming, we're going to come in the house and you talk to you. And she's like, I don't know about that.
Just have your friends. I know it.
Yeah.
I wonder what you would do if a parent said no. Has there been, I never watched the show anymore.
Yeah. So Rachel Lindsay's dad is like a prosecutor or.
No, he's a judge. Isn't he a federal
judge? Sorry. Yes. She was an attorney.
And he would not be on there.
Yeah. So he stepped out, but like the rest of her family did it. But here's what's interesting. So for the final, like when they do the hometowns and they visit their house, if you don't live in like a mansion, they rent a house.
What?
They stage it like their Pier 1 decor.
Yeah,
and
there is no way. Half of those hometown
crazy.
visits, no.
Most of them are rented houses.
Yeah. And they absolutely, because I am always like, do they find people who have these perfect
They're giant.
parents living in these beautiful homes? Now I guarantee you they have got to be scanning people's Instagrams, not just for.
But what their life in general is like.
Well, that's one of the, so they
Well, because they want to be, a lot of them already have them tons of followers for other reasons.
Your Instagram and Twitter, like they ask you, that's one of the first questions on the application.
Mhm.
As we've learned the past few years, they don't do a deep dive, but they do ask you. And
okay, I read that they do a deep dive, and somehow that girl's picture escaped them. And it's why they were shocked. Or they looked at it, Lauren, and didn't think it was a problem. Like it was just like, oh, a bunch of girls in dresses. You know what I mean?
Right,
They didn't go deep enough.
Wait, what happened? What was the picture?
Oh, well, that's a whole, we're going to get into that. Let's finish. Right. I'm sorry. I got totally off, but we'll get into why they missed some things or so.
So I was in touch with the casting producer until like right before the final casting weekend, where they tell you, they're like, this weekend in August, we have 50, like the top 50 people, we fly them out, you're secluded. They basically do what I did in person in the video, like clip to a mic, but they do it for like hours and you're in front of all the producers. So, and they just ask you questions, but I didn't do that. I didn't get invited to final.
Right. So I think that's where they go really deep into your personality, because clearly they pick, how many do they start with?
30-ish?
Something. Okay. Clearly they already know in their mind who the top 10 are going to be. I mean, I'm telling you, there's no way that The Bachelor, they influence their picks over the highest drama behind the scenes. So
they're absolutely casting roles, and then they're like, maybe 5 people that suit this person.
Right.
Maybe.
And then the rest are just for drama, because I'm sorry, but this season right now that they're in, there is no way Matt would have kept that crazy ass Victoria.
Right.
He had zero chemistry. I don't even think he kissed her. And he kept her on for so long. But she was drama back at the house, Jen. See what I mean? So producers are like, okay, see this Victoria? She's a crazy ass bitch, and she needs to be here for the majority of this season to keep things alive. So you got it right. It's clear.
Yeah. I mean, she wore a crown, and then when another girl who was an actual pageant queen walked in, she took her crown off her head and said, "You're not the queen, I'm the queen."
Yeah.